Hare Krishna and welcome to Gita Connection. Today's topic is finding your way through the three modes. Let us begin with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayati Girim Yat Kripatamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasad Putale Srimati Jayata Kaswamati Namacharya Padaya Nitaya Guruptaya Guruptadam Dayana Gram Ram Dham Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasad Putale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamati Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Vishnu Devi Shishra Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Sadguru Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Darshan of my deities. All right, let us begin. Bhagavad Gita is such a great source of inspiration, and it's a saving grace for a devotee, for a yogi. And the three modes of material nature, Krishna talks a lot about it, and if we will find in the 14th chapter about passion, ignorance, and goodness, and how those modes affect and how it works. So today I wanted to speak from that feminine perspective about how the three modes of nature influence us, and how we can find our way through those modes to reach Krishna. All right. So the reference, some basic reference is as follows. I need to start this to go back and screen share. So, basic points here. In the mode of ignorance, there is no contemplation and there is no action. There is just delusion or even obsessions. And in the mode of passion, there is first action, then contemplation. And in the mode of goodness, there is first contemplation, then action. Whereas in the mode of transcendence, contemplation and action is harmonized by devotion. So we will be addressing this 3 points. So let's begin. See, for a woman, we grow up in families that might make us. Try to take this away from my screen. Okay. We grew up in families where, contemplation, introspection, vulnerability, humility, these are not usually like glorified qualities. It's more about perform and keep up your image and look at what people are saying. So it's so much passion-based. It's more about do what the society is doing, do what makes you feel fit in, belong. There is not so much importance on the contemplation aspect. So much of Kali Yuga's parenting, so much of Kali Yuga's way of social life is based on the mode of passion and ignorance. There is so much, either there is like, let's give an example. In the mode of ignorance, there is not much contemplation, right? We go into social media, you scroll, and you look at what people are doing. So you're just like observing what other people are doing in one sense. And then you are not taking any action. In fact, ignorance works in the opposite way. When we compare ourselves with other people's life, and we, as Trisandhya often says, comparing my internal with other people's externals. So doing that, we get depressed, we get sad. We look at some pictures of some people and say, oh, they look so happy. Why am I so sad? And then we get delusional. We start to have opinions about ourselves which are untrue, which are ungrateful to Krishna. When we become depressed and we become ungrateful in a way which projects by us wallowing in that sense of lack of self-worth and lack of self-esteem, and lose our sense of identity. So instead of giving in the room for contemplation, we give in the room for feeling bad and to feel like a failure and to feel defeated, right? Feeling like a failure. One of my friends has some challenges with sensual issues, and there is so much focus on the obsession part. So one of my mentors was telling me today in one of the meetings that when having a sensual problem or a weakness or any kind of problem, right? Maybe we have a problem not able to do some spiritual activity, or we're not able to follow a specific rule, whatever it is, right? When we have that, we can approach that problem in the mode of ignorance, and we can approach it in the mode of passion, and we can approach it in the mode of goodness. So in the mode of ignorance, we are approaching in a problem in this way. This is an example of somebody I know. Become obsessed about it. Like, say once in a month, the person has a problem, and I'm just giving a random example here. And gets into watching movies, okay, binge watching some movies, and say the person spends 2-3 days in a month, they just binge watch, they're just watching some nonsense. And now, yes, those 2-3 days is in the mode of ignorance, and yes, the person has lost it. But then the continuation of ignorance would be to keep lamenting about it for the rest of the month, thinking, oh, I slept, I kept watching things, I didn't. So you get lost in that guilt and that shame, and that consumes you. It becomes so, you become obsessed with the fact that you did that. So what is happening is we're not really helping ourselves. I know it's very difficult when we commit a mistake or when we are not able to keep up to certain rules and standards. We can become depressed. We can become delusional, thinking that this is the end of the world. So I was telling my friend also, because I was talking with my mentor, and then also the friend's message was coming at the same time. So then I actually was trying to contemplate how what my mentor was saying is, God doesn't care as much for your weaknesses as much as he cares about you moving on from it. In other words, he cares more for the fact that you're carrying that sense of guilt and shame, and carrying that burden of ignorance, continuing to carry the ignorance. So we don't have to continue carrying the ignorance. We may slip, we may mess it up, we may make mistakes in a relationship, we might end up in being in a bad place. That doesn't mean we have to remain there. We all know that, right? Theoretically, we know that. But sometimes certain actions, certain mistakes consumes our soul that we could become so delusional, thinking that these actions define us. These actions don't define us. So in the mode of ignorance, instead of contemplation and instead of action, at least, we get stuck. So what does it mean to contemplate, right? To contemplate would mean for us to see that, okay, this is a way Krishna, how I try to see it is, this is a way Krishna is humbling me. For many years, I thought I can do this and I can keep up to this rule or whatever. And somehow or another, Krishna put me in this situation where I was unable to. And yes, it's a pity. Yes, it's not very great of me. It's not an ideal situation. At the same time, what action can I take? What is the next right step? What is the next right step I can take in order for me to beat this ignorance and to not remain in darkness? Ignorance is darkness. So do we want to remain in darkness, keep complaining how bad it feels, how cold it feels? Or do I want to do the next right step? Do I want to get out of that cold, dark place and start looking for the light, start looking for the switch to turn on the light? Okay, that's a part of our ignorance. Any comments or questions or anything? We're just kind of discussing like essence and summary of this. Anybody? Okay, I see something in the chat.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking like how you said, remaining in ignorance is like just keeping ourselves in darkness. I was just reminded of my Guru Maharaj, who always says like if you go to him with the problem, and if something has happened in the past, he always says, yes, it happened, but don't keep your mind just fixated on that. What happened. Just move on. Move on in devotional service. Devotional service has the ability to remove even the weeds of the those sinful tendencies. Like in Virat Rupa meditation we were seeing, it's just the sins will just go away. But then the very tendency, to make that sin, that is also removed by the help of devotional service. So my Guru Maharaj always says, just continue in devotional service, fix your mind on that and just be on the positive. Whenever there's a negative, he always says, balance it with a positive. So that's how he says, always with the positive, always balance out the negative. And he gives a comment also when he wants to give a correction also. He will say something nice, then he'll give the correction. Again, he'll tell something about your strength. And then, that's how he sandwiches it. So that's something which I wanted to just share.
Thank you, Taruni. Actually, that's an excellent introduction to the answer for Ashka's question. Now, ignorance, right? First of all, when we are aware that I'm in ignorance, that's the first step. Let's say if I have difficulty waking up in the morning, if I have difficulty to perform my daily duties in the morning, I know that I'm stuck in ignorance. Okay. So the first step, how to fight ignorance, how to overcome ignorance, first is by awareness, acknowledgement, not to deny. I was hearing this thing. Some people make things happen. Some people watch things happen. And some people wonder what happened. So the last category of people who wonder what happened, that's ignorance, right? And people don't even know, how did I end up in this situation? What actually happened actually? Why did this person do that or say that? Or why did that person walk away? So ignorance is denial. Like I have a friend who's quite careless and neglectful about commitments in relationship. So always makes promises, doesn't keep up to it, and always comes up with some stupid excuse. So gradually, the person is losing trust and faith in friends, right? So there is a lot of ignorance on this person's part because they don't understand why we lose interest to hang out with a person. Like recently I got like an invitation to go hang out and I wasn't feeling so inspired. And the person is like, but previously you used to be so enthusiastic. And I'm like, like enthusiasm to be with somebody has an expiry date based on how you deal with the person. So some people can be in such ignorance about their sense of self-awareness. And me and Trisandhya also were discussing about this point that some people just don't have that gift of introspection. Some people just do not understand that there is a need for them to acknowledge their sense of to acknowledge where they are weak or what is their flaw that's pushing people away, or what is their flaw that they are hurting others. Some people are hurting others and they're clueless. They're clueless about the consequence that they're actually creating. So it's a mixture of mode of passion and mode of ignorance. So Ashka, one of the things that we can do once we get awareness, like if we get awareness, which area of your life are you ignorant? Where is ignorance covering you? Then the second thing to do, like I'll give my personal example. I used to have a problem early in the morning to stay focused with the japa. It was very difficult for me. Yes, I would wake up but then I would not feel inspired to chant during the winter. I was struggling, should I take bath so early or not? And like it was like up and down. And then when I started the Bhagavatam study group, I know that 5 o'clock there will be people waiting, and I know there is a sense of pressure that I have to chant my rounds by 5 a.m. because there is Bhagavatam. And then I used to have a little bit of difficulty with me keeping up to puja with my deities. And then I opened my doors to some of my students to come and join me to do morning program. So some Russian girls come to join me from program. So what happened is now I have 5 to 6 Bhagavatam, and then 6 to 7:30 is morning program, Tulsi Arti, Darshan Arti, Guru Puja. I do here with the girls. And then 8 o'clock, I have the like class, something. So I basically kept myself engaged, committed. I have commitments with other people that will show up at my door. And I have commitments with people that will show up at 5 a.m. to listen to Bhagavatam. So I'm forced to get out of ignorance. So this is one of the ways that I work, I take help. And my nature is that if I commit something to somebody, I show up, I do it. So my way of getting out of ignorance is to commit. So like for the last month, I've been doing this, like giving appointments to people because I know that that's the time and I have to do those things in that time. And then I'm like, and I used to have problem during winter. I was like so sleepy during the day. So to counteract that, I started setting up appointments with people, like to help people, like with astrology readings or coaching or counseling or call with my secretary. So I fixed those times, and I know that other people, like giving appointments to other people, helps me to stay out of ignorance. Otherwise, I may get a little bit spaced out. So like that, I'm still working. Passion is one of my problems. I tend to accumulate a lot of messages, a lot of emails that I don't answer. I'm not organized with things. So there is definitely some elements still that I need to work on. It's a process. It's not a product. We cannot snap out of ignorance overnight. It's something we need to do in time, slowly. I started with Sunday programs, and then I started Tuesday Gita Connection, and then I started Friday, and then I started the everyday morning Bhagavatam. So we test our own capacity to build resistance and to act in ways that we are capable of. We prove to ourselves how much I can go till what I can stretch. And then we adjust accordingly. But it's very important to know, Ashka, when we speak about ignorance, one of the things that we need is also entertainment, like relaxation. So we shouldn't ignore that. We should also keep a time where the mind can be, like, sleep is ignorance. We need that. If you don't get enough sleep, the brain will go crazy.
Yes.
One of the tips is also when you sleep, keep all the windows closed, not even single light on. Just try to keep like as dark as possible, or wear eye shades or something when you sleep, or cover yourself with a blanket or something, because
Okay.
complete darkness, it absorbs the mind. It goes into the deep sleep state, which actually nourishes us when we wake up. Also, putting your head towards east or south is best. Your head towards south helps very much, or also east. So ignorance is as necessary as other modes, okay? But it just has its right place. We don't want ignorance to hit us early in the morning, right? We want to utilize that.
Yes.
We want to be focused, we want to be alert, like that. Another thing is also to combat ignorance is also to take good care of your body. Like be healthy, nourish yourself with good foods, get good sunlight. I mean, in India, getting sunlight is not a problem. But those things keeps the ignorance away. Those people who don't go out much in the sun, or they don't do physical exercise, that they tend to be more like dull and like tired and lazy, and they don't want to do things. I mean, I don't think that's your problem. But in our mind, we need to be aware where I am, where I want to be, and what I need to do to get there. So that's the first level of fighting ignorance. And what Taruni Radha said is very, very important, to not be in that position of ignorance. Like Maharaj says, we need to kind of keep moving on. They say, it's not about how you fall, it's about when you get up. Like you have to learn to get up and not to remain there. And it's just a matter of desire. And for Krishna, he doesn't care, oh, you overslept, or you did this or that. That's not his, he's not like disciplinary, who wants us to be like a machine, wake up only at this time, do these things in this way. He wants our bhava, he wants our mood. But through our actions, we show how much I want something. Like if I want to study Bhagavatam, like I'm very proud of you, Ashka, that you come in the morning, you are there for the Bhagavatam class, even though you have
Yes.
difficulties at you have difficulties and challenges at home, people don't let you, but still you're there. That shows to Krishna that I value Bhagavatam. I really want you, Krishna. I want Bhagavatam. So that is also another act of getting out of ignorance and giving a commitment to Krishna. Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, I will study Bhagavatam. So another way is also take help. Take help from each other. Like if you have challenge with chanting rounds, connect with another devotee and chant rounds.
Yes.
Like commitment, like you can commit accountability. Look, I'm having trouble chanting my rounds. Can we chant together? So we take help. Like because I was having problems studying every day. So I started this Nityam Bhagavata Sevya thing, and it's helping me because every day I'm in touch with Bhagavatam. I get curious. I go back to the book and I'm reading and I'm reading the verses. So it really gets us out of ignorance. Sadhu Sangha gets us out of ignorance. Is that helpful?
Yes. Yes, Mataji, thank you for sharing your experience. Yes, always busy in devotional service. This is the best to remove ignorance.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. So many challenges in my life, but I face it difficult, but I face. I pray Krishna that very soon all solve.
Yes, that's the best. See, that's what I was showing you here. Prayer is actually transcendental. It's not only sattva, it's a contemplation and action harmonized by devotion. We are aware, and at the same time, we are doing, like you're praying, you're understanding, you're aware, at the same time, you're devotional, you're praying. So that's like culmination. And Krishna, the obstacles are temporary. It'll go away, but the more we pray, we become stronger. So all these obstacles are creating a sense of foundation for us to be stronger. This is how we can see it. Krishna is giving us these difficulties to make us strong.
Obstacles come to teach something. We should learn something through obstacles. That's why obstacles come in life, according to my opinion.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we can face that obstacle in Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, Tamaguna,
Yes.
Okay. So in passion, we first act, we say what we feel to say, and then we say, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I actually feel bad that I said it. We all know that, right? We all know that moment when we regret our passionate actions. And then we realize that I should have been more careful. What else can I want to? Okay, I wanted to speak about certain characters, right? In Mahabharata, we can actually see that Duryodhana had this ignorance. He wouldn't contemplate, and he would just sit there. Like, for example, I mean, it's mixture. His was ignorance and passion, mixture of it. He would be delusional, thinking, "Oh, Pandavas should not get anything," and ignorance also means destruction. So he didn't want to work hard and go and get more kingdom or work hard and become a better king. Instead, he wanted to kill Bhima, right? Even as a kid, he didn't contemplate thinking, why am I feeling jealous about my own brothers? Why don't I work on myself and become a better person? Why don't I become stronger? Why don't I build better muscles than Bhima? He wasn't doing that kind of action. He was just in delusion that I put a little poison in Bhima's food. I'll kill him, get rid of him. Then I will be okay. I'll be secure. I'll be safe. So in the mode of ignorance, we're thinking like that. There is no contemplation. We don't want to work hard. We're in complete delusion. So we want to destroy things. And then passion. We can give example of Dushasan. he just did, like he just dragged Draupadi into the courtyard and courtroom, and he just wanted to insult Draupadi, and he didn't think, he didn't contemplate, and he was just following Duryodhana's orders. Okay, that's another example. Also, Bhishma also can be compared to, like compared meaning, he also had certain qualities of ignorance mixed with goodness. He was very contemplative, but at the same time, he was depending on, I mean, they themselves say, Drona himself says, Dronacharya says that he was depending on the food and the shelter that the king was giving, and therefore he was dependent on Dhritarashtra. And so they were not contemplating, they were just depending on them. So that's also like the mode of ignorance but mixed with passion. Very important point I want to say here is sometimes ignorance and goodness can appear similar. It looks like somebody is very peaceful, they look very calm. So it may look like they're in the mode of goodness, but they're not in the mode of goodness. It's ignorance. Because internally we may be feeling resentful, we may be feeling vengeful, we may be feeling depressed and sad and comparative mentality. And externally we may look like, oh, they're looking very contemplative, they're very introspective, but actually may not be. So ignorance doesn't mean passive. Sorry, goodness doesn't mean passive. We don't just keep quiet and externally, and then internally we are boiling inside. Goodness means I'm disturbed and I can go and express it. I'm feeling disturbed because of this particular situation and I want you to correct your behavior or whatever it is. Goodness means being assertive. So in the mode of ignorance, we are destructive. We say things or we destroy relationships and we avenge and we are revengeful mood and we're not contemplative, nor do we want to work on ourselves, and we are just in illusion, delusion. We are denying our weakness, we are denying our character defects. And in the mode of passion, we may say things that we regret, we repent, and it may be too late to fix things, that may break relations. But in the mode of goodness, we are assertive. Also, passion means aggressive, like we are aggressive in our behavior. And goodness means we are first able to contemplate, we are honest, and then we are taking the action of communicating accordingly, like that. So it follows first contemplation, introspection, and then the action. Whereas passion is like being aggressive and losing control, and then thinking, why did I do that? Like that. I'll give you one example, okay? Say somebody hurts us or disappoints us. In the mode of ignorance, we're not contemplative. We're not thinking, maybe in my previous life I did this. We're not thinking like that. We're thinking the opposite. Oh, this is so horrible. This relationship is not going to work. And this person is bad. And I don't want to even communicate with this person. And they get into complete delusion. I'm unlovable. I'm unworthy. This person doesn't respect me. Everything is the end, and feel destructive and destroy the relationship. Okay. Or say things really hurtful, like you don't love me and you hate me and I'm not worthy, etc. In the mode of passion, we could become very violent and then just lose temper, lose control, and say, how dare you do this to me? What do you think of yourself? Don't you know that? Why do you treat me this way? You're horrible. You're such a nonsense. You'll never go back to Krishna. Krishna will never be pleased. And, the mode of passion, we kind of like full, like just completely aggressive in our action. And then later on, we may feel bad about it. In the mode of goodness, we are aware of our needs. We are aware that this person is not treating us nicely. This person is disappointing me. I mean to say in even normal general situations, somebody says, I'll come and pick you up at 8 o'clock. They come late, and then you're getting late for your train or something, and you miss your train. So how do we express this in this level of seriousness I'm talking? In the mode of goodness, we say, my dear Ashka, you told me you'll come and pick me up at 8 o'clock. You came at 8:20 and my train was supposed to be at 9 o'clock. And by the time we reached the station, it was already 9 o'clock and I missed my train. This makes me very upset. It makes me frustrated. It makes me difficult to trust you next time to try, I'm just giving an example. Ashka never did that to me. So we are honest. We contemplate that I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling disappointed that she didn't arrive in time. Then I take the action of expressing that discontentment in a way after processing, after harmonized by devotion, which means I'm aware that this must be some karma. I lost the train and it's not like this person's fault and you scream at the top of your lungs, but we express it. I'm very disappointed. I'm hurt that you didn't keep to your commitment. But we are taking the action after contemplating, after we are assertive. Ignorance would mean like not telling her anything. And then internally, I'm building resentment. Internally, I'm like feeling so bad. And then I may just say, you know what? I don't want a relationship with you anymore. Or worse, keep like harboring resentment towards the person. So is that clear? I'm giving like basic examples of how to recognize the modes in our daily situation. And Trisandhi was saying, I love applying the gunas to how we approach our challenges. Yeah, I mean, that's like a whole chapter. If you have any realization to share about that, please feel welcome. Any other points, any other realizations, questions? See, everything in this world can be approached in Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Everything.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hari bol Neha.
So once in my Bhakti Shastri class, Urmila Mataji, she spoke about false ego in mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So false ego in mode of ignorance is like, oh, I am feeling so wonderful and I don't care about anybody, and by any means I have to achieve this, whether it's cheating, etc. things I'll do and I'll achieve this. In mode of passion, it is false ego is like, oh, I am religious and I am doing what is best for my family, and little bit I'm doing good things. And in mode of goodness, false ego is like, I am better than others and I'm inspiring others. I am following all good things, being religious, and so I'm comfortable and all. So a little bit I remember, so I thought it's relevant to share. So thank you.
Yeah, very relevant. Thank you. Yes, it can trick us, the modes can trick us. Yes. So Trisandhya says, I'm just realizing how I've always interacted in Rajas and Tamas. We all do. We are lucky sometimes, that we are aware. I have many regrets, but I didn't really know any better exactly at the time and was in survival mode, full of fear. Wow. Yeah, I relate so much to that. I mean, currently I've been feeling freedom from fear, freedom from resentment, freedom from dishonesty. I feel like in that place of harmony, that even though things are so chaotic around me, so many chaotic things are happening, but deep inside, I feel like I'm in the eye of the storm, because in the eye of the storm, you're safe because the whole storm is going all around you. So I kind of feel like I'm in the middle and then there's a whole storm around. And these three things have been like, I've been thinking the same thing. Like in the past, I was full of fear and I didn't know better. In the past, I was so full of fear again that I was dishonest and I was so hurt that I was unable to be free of resentment. And so, like right now, I feel like in that stage of freedom, and it's really because of service, because of Srimad Bhagavatam, studying Bhagavatam, doing this service with meetings. It really keeps me afloat, because that's, again, I think it's kind of transcendence to, even if I'm in Tamoguna mode, start reading Bhagavatam, do the meetings, turn up, and then it may eventually, from in those 30 minutes, it starts 10 minutes, I'm still in tamas, and then it comes to rajas, and then finally sattva, and then finally I feel, Krishna, may this be pleasing to you, you know. So really being with association of devotees and doing service unconditionally, it really builds us to that point of strength. We become aware, we start cleaning our side of the road, we start becoming stronger. When we become stronger, Krishna starts giving us more rewards for that strength. We're not acting anymore from the place of fear. We're acting from the place of faith. We don't have to crawl before anybody, because we are Krishna's. And we only bow down our head for Krishna. We don't get, what do you call it? We shouldn't be at the mercy of other people. We shouldn't let other people control us with their manipulation. We are only Krishna's. So that brings us fearlessness, that brings us strength, to do our service in that mode. Even if we are surrounded by difficulties. This is Krishna consciousness. And also awareness. When we are aware and we admit that I am having difficulty, Krishna opens doors for us. He gives the right sangha. We would start working on ourselves. And then we come to that position of, we don't have to always give from a position of strength. Like when I started these support groups, I started it in a position of weakness. Meaning I really needed sangha. I really needed to be honest. I really needed to explore. So I started off as creating something that will benefit myself and others. And it was not like I was able to give a lot in terms of knowledge or support or strength. I myself was feeling weak. But then because of doing this, I started to build that strength. I started to get that emotional strength. No, emotional stability and mental strength, both started to come. So keep showing up to meetings and classes that inspire you. Keep getting back up every time you fall into ignorance. Keep forgiving yourself every time we are in passion. That is also transcendence, to remember that you're a precious child of Krishna. Sometimes you mess up, sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you slip. But you deserve to have peace. You deserve to have certain comforts, even sometimes at the cost of maybe we look selfish, and Krishna can understand us. And as Sri Sandhya was saying, sometimes there's no other option. So we humble ourselves in front of Krishna. Actually, Krishna is the only person who knows how to humble our hearts. So he puts us through a situation that humbles our heart. So these are some of the points that I really wanted to share, that modes of nature are just today morning. For me, today morning. For America, it was yesterday. Taruni was saying in the Bhagavatam class study group how the material nature is so ugly, right? And we were discussing how we are just rotting here in this world. And yesterday I was on a TV show, and one of the audience was asking this question, like, there's Vaikuntha, Goloka, full of bliss, full of happiness. Why did Krishna even create this material world? And then we found that answer today in the Bhagavatam study. We had this nature to desire to lord it over material nature. We false ego, like Neha was quoting from Urmila Mataji's class. We have this false ego to try to prove ourselves as controllers, as God, right? And to act from that place of superiority, act from that place of false ego, which has no place in the spiritual world. We cannot act from that place of Ishvara Bhava there, because there's only one Ishvara, that's Krishna. So because we still didn't develop that sense of humility, we didn't humble our hearts in front of Krishna, we didn't get on our knees and realize that You are the master and I'm the servant. We didn't realize that. We still had that tendency to lord it over the nature, lord it over material nature, what we're doing here. So Krishna created this false world for us to experience certain things that we think we're lording over material nature. Kartaham iti manyate. We're thinking that we're the doer. At the end of the day, we get kicked in our backside and then we get on our knees and we're like, oh my God, I thought things would go my way. What's happening? So we're getting purified. Our consciousness is evolving. Krishna is humbling our hearts. We think I'll have a perfect family. I'll have really nice kids and everything is going to be so nice. And I'm going to find happy moments. We're going to enjoy vacations. And then Krishna says, no, baby, I have a different plan for you. And then he puts us in difficult situations. Sometimes people are thinking, I'll get married and I'll have kids and I'll have a nice life. And maybe Krishna's plan is the person doesn't get married. Or we're thinking, I'm going to get married for the rest of my life. He's the love of my life. And that guy turns out an idiot and, he leaves us or something. So every situation is tailor-made for us to destroy that false ego, for us to kind of come to that point of understanding this world was created as a mercy of the Lord. Because even in this world, even through disappointment, we will reach Krishna. Even ignorance, how much ever depressed you feel, at one point you start seeing, how can I get out of this depression? How can I take shelter of Krishna? No matter how much passion we have, which always creates misery at the end, we will look for Krishna. So this material world was created for our purification. All the material situations are also tailor-made for us to get us out. So we don't get rot, we don't rot here forever and ever and ever. So pain is good. Because if I put this finger in fire and it doesn't burn me and I'm just like, la la la, yeah, I'm talking to you all in the Gita Connection class, by the time I realize my whole hand is burnt, right? But pain is a good thing, because as soon as I touch fire, it burns me and I immediately say, ouch. Then my finger is saved, my hand is saved, my body is saved. Similarly, even in this material world, we're putting our hand into fire, trying to enjoy the nature, trying to enjoy material nature, trying to enjoy our senses, thinking I want to feel good, I want people to love me, or whatever it is senses wants. Instead of serving the senses of Krishna, Hrishikesha, Hrishikena, Sevaya, we do not understand that by serving Krishna, then my senses will be satisfied. Instead, we are trying to water the leaves of the plant. And then we are complaining about the pain, but it's a good thing that we are in pain in this world. Because if we were not in pain, we would be destroyed. The body would be completely finished. The psychology will be psyche will be finished. So pain is a reminder that we are doing something wrong. This is not the direction. We get attached to the wrong person. We get attached in the wrong way to a person. We attach our sense of identity with relationships that are not worthy of providing our needs or whatever. We think that being alone is very bad, and we get desperate maybe to get married, whatever it may be. Or we get so attached to toxic relationships that we don't want to let go of it, whatever the situation might be. The more we are hurting, the more we are in pain, is a reminder that kind of thinking is wrong for us. It's burning my finger. Remove the finger from that place. Stop attaching your sense of identity with that person or that thing or that path in life. Because pain is an indicator. Don't burn yourself. Remove your hand. At the same time, there's a pain of discipline, and then there's a pain of regret. Sometimes it may be a pain to get up in the morning and chant our rounds, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that kind of pain. Because there are certain pain that gives us gain. I wake up in the morning, I get my head out and do the austerity of chanting. It makes me strong for the rest of the day. I'm doing my puja, it gives me the strength the rest of the day. So yeah, pain is a good thing. It's a reminder to not completely burn ourselves. Sandhya has something to say. I read today, our pain is speaking to us. We just have to hear what it's expressing and filter it through God's lens of wisdom. Wow, beautiful. I'd like to hear more about that. I'd like to hear, I like that unpacked actually. Yeah. Like I was saying, by putting my hand in fire, that pain is speaking to me, remove your hand, it's going to get burned completely. And it doesn't allow us to burn. No, we immediately remove the hand. And we have to hear what it's expressing. Wow, so beautiful. And filter it through God's lens of wisdom. And sometimes all we can do is just humbly ask Krishna to guide us, because we don't know what to do. Sometimes things are hurting, like really bad, and we have no strength to endure it. We have no strength to walk away. We don't have the strength to tolerate it. And what do? We just pray. We just say, Krishna, please take away this pain. Because I don't want to keep my hand on it. Sometimes I want to keep my hand in the fire. It's burning. I don't want to, it's burning. I don't want to, but I don't want to take the hand out, right? So there are some times that we need to take it out. Meaning, it may not be physical things, or it may be emotionally we are holding on to something. There's this monkey. He put his hand, in Africa, people eat monkeys. And so they were trying to catch a monkey, and they kept a little box with a hole in it, a hole like that. And then the monkey would insert its hand inside, right, to take the sweet rice. So when he put the hand inside, and his fist would become like that when he has held the sweet rice. And then he could not pull out his hand anymore from the hole. The only way to pull out his hand was to let go of the sweet rice, and the hand would come out. But he was not willing to, because he was holding on to the sweet rice. So the more he was holding on to it, he was not able to get out. So similarly, we want something from this material world, from these material relationships. We put our hand inside. We want to cling to maybe changing the person, getting things the way we want, getting whatever we want. We want to change our situation, our job, our boss, our partners, our friends, whoever it is. We want to control. We hold on to it. Stuck. We can't pull it out. And what happened? They killed the monkey and ate the brain of the monkey. Anyways, I know it's a gruesome thing to say, but the idea is that that's the idea. Yes, Taruni.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were saying about this let go, my thought was going towards there is this I'm sure you know about it, like the fight and the flight mode. When something is going, something like bad is happening, you either fight it out if you feel the person is equal or lower. But with higher ups, you can't fight. So usually kind of flee, right? You fight or you flee. So you kind of like run away from the situation or run away from facing it. Usually it's either this or that. So to be able to contemplate and then be able to take it to transcendence via prayers, that is something which is we need to develop that, right? I like to hear your thoughts about it, the fight and the flee mode, which usually everybody gets into.
Yeah. So, yeah, we need to choose our battles carefully. We don't just take up every fight, right? We carefully choose, because we have limited energy. So we need to see what fights we want to pick, and what fights may just be unworthy of getting into discussion. I mean, I'm thinking of one of my friends. She's in a relationship with a guy who is really bad, like narcissist. I mean, really bad means he's a devotee and all that, but narcissist. And she, after quite some struggle, she came to that point of understanding that this guy's not going to change. His narcissistic tendencies are going to remain. And recently she had some kind of a whatever situation where the guy was just abusing and saying things to her, and she just didn't react. And the guy was like, what happened to you? Who's training you? Who's teaching you? How come you're like this? The guy just completely lost it. Because this person developed that indifference. Now, like you were saying, earlier she was a little bit in that fight mode. Then when she got into the, okay, you know what? You want to abuse me? Go on, be my guest. But you know what? I'm not going to react. And that can be very disempowering to the person who wants to destroy you. Like, no, I'm not going to get destroyed by it. Go on saying whatever you want to say. I'm not going to take it in. I remember my grandmother again. She had that response. Like she was like that indifference. Actually, Bhagavatam tells us to be indifferent. Indifferent means basically to not let abuse sink into our identity, to not let other people's insecurities to hurt us. Develop compassion if we see them as, these people will never get what I'm saying. We remain indifferent, but at the same time in Sattva Guna, we can acknowledge to Krishna, to our dear friends, I know what, I've really felt bad the way this person treated me, or whatever it is, okay? We express it, but we get back up, Sattva Guna, positivity, productivity, go towards Krishna. Don't get stuck in the rut, don't get stuck in the tamas. So fight or flight can also be done in Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. That's what I'm trying to say. You can also like leave in a Tamagun way, like resentment in your heart. You can also leave in Rajagun way, saying, you know what, it's a useless waste of time talking to you. I'm gone, like I hate you. And then you can also go away from the place saying, Sattvagun, what would it be? Anybody?
I acknowledge this is your nature, but I'm not going to let your nature seep into my heart.
I mean, this is so precious. I cannot emphasize this point enough, that no matter the chaos around us, if we can build that sense of self-worth and our sense of identity with Krishna, we should not get affected by other people's insecurities and their addictions and their problems and their nonsense. We remain strong in our ground. We stand strong for Krishna. We hold our heads high and we only ask Krishna for shelter. We don't. So that's the mode with which we do it. So most of the time.
So beautiful, Mataji. That's just absolutely beautiful. Like I can't even, express my gratitude to you for just saying all this. So beautiful. Very, very grateful to you.
And also my Ajji, my grandma, this is what she does. She fights for certain things. For example, she wants to go to the temple or she wants to go some pilgrimage, okay? She'll fight in a very sattva guna way. She'll just go, she'll fight for that. So she's very clear what she wants to fight. And then my grandfather or somebody will be screaming and saying horrible things, this, that. For that, she won't bother. She'll just leave the place from there. She won't take it in. She won't suck it. She'll suck it up externally. But internally, she's like, whatever. These guys are like, whatever. And she won't be in passion. She won't be in ignorance. She'll just be in transcendence. She'll just do her own thing. She'll fight for something that she has in her mind. So I really learned that from her. She's a survivor, and she survived in a way that when she's almost 90 now, her memory is sharp, her even her voice, she sings. I should invite her again actually for one of our sanghas. Memory is really sharp. She's really good with voice of singing. She's super attached to Bhagavatam. She doesn't care about gossip. She doesn't care which grandchild got into what problem. She doesn't care. She just wants to focus on Bhagavatam, focus on Mahabharata. That's her thing. So really, she fought for what she wants. Most of the time is like flight mode, whatever you tell, whatever you do, whatever, as long as, you leave me alone to do what I want. She was really like, mind your own business. This is another thing I learned from my grandmother, mind your own business. So if your business is something, you have to fight for your child. Your child is being bullied at school. Take up that fight. At home, you train him to think, Gora, you're a servant of Krishna. Think of the Lord, think of the Lord's plan, do all that. But if you have to fight, you fight for that. So, that discrimination of when to apply what principle. You can fight, you can fight in the mode of goodness, assertive. Thank you.
I think this discretion, like how you ended up saying, that comes by Krishna's intelligence, Tesham, that, I give the intelligence to those who are endeavoring to always be in unalloyed loving service to me, like that he says, right? He gives that buddhi yoga, right?
Nami buddhi yogam yes.
So it is ultimately, it's his inspiration that we need to depend on, right? Every time, it's just him. And of course, devotees who are like always directing us towards, how to approach him and how to deal with it. Like, all of you, like, beautiful, beautiful.
So even if we are in ignorance, we approach Krishna. Krishna, please handle my depression. I want taking shelter of you. So what happens immediately from tamas, we get transcendent. If you're feeling rajas, I'm angry, Krishna, please take away this anger. So we hand it over to Krishna. We hand it over to Krishna. So in that way, we are safe. We don't get attacked. We don't get touched by the modes, but we give it to Krishna. So that is the prayer for today. And thank you very much for your attention. So keep praying, keep handing over your tamas and rajas to Krishna, and you are precious child of Krishna. So stand strong with your head high, dignity, grace, and gratitude. Let's thank Guru and Gauranga and the Association of Vaishnavas for giving us the path, for giving us the strength and the hope to build our strong sense of connection with Krishna through Bhagavad Gita knowledge, Bhagavatam knowledge. Thank you very much. I hope you have the rest of the week fully charged with Krishna conscious thoughts. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I have one question.
Krishna.
Kavya, I
Krishna,
really need to go. In 2 minutes, I have an appointment. So can you please write me personally?
Mataji,
And I
okay,
will. Yeah, you please write
okay,
me,
Mataji,
okay?
sure.
Nin bari nan
Yeah,
ning answer.
sure.
Thank you. Hare